Hi, good afternoon, Simon. I hope all is well, and thank you so much for taking the time at this
Good
fireside
afternoon,
chat
Anand.
on building societies. So I think let's just dive right in, right? I mean, obviously, the last 18 months has been very interesting with the pandemic, with everything else, and people moving from the city to the suburbs, people moving to different kinds of accommodations. I mean, the whole country has been in a very different state. People are at home, right? Both you and I are doing this session at home. How do you see all of that really coming together with the building societies, right? And how do you see that the whole health and vibrancy of this sector, and with teachers in particular?
Okay, Anand, it definitely has been a different period of time, hasn't it? So, I, if I reflect first on the building society sector, for context, the sector on the lending side does about 25% of the gross lending in the UK in a typical year. So it's a sizable sector of the UK housing market, um, and in the last financial crisis, building societies uh, were there for their membership and stayed open for business. And what's been a feature of this financial crisis is the same thing. The sector has been there for their members, customers new and old, so that they could provide services that were clearly needed during this quite difficult and challenging time for the economy. I'll give you a bit of sort of context around my organisation, Teachers Building Society. Uh, we, 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 we were founded to provide mortgages for teachers, in essence, to help them own their own home, and that's the purpose that we still are in business to do. And we made a decision early on that we wanted to stay open for trading to help our membership, because we thought that they would have some challenges, and also people were still moving house during the pandemic when they could do. So throughout this period of sort of turmoil and change, we've been open for business. And I'll give a specific example of that. We've continued to lend at 90% plus. Our target our target audience, if you like, are first-time buyer teachers, and we've stayed open for business for that population throughout this period and continued to lend. We've also, and the sector in general, has very much proved a safe haven for people's savings. So the building society sector has taken a lot of savings funds in over this period, as people quite rightly have been concerned and has wanted to make sure that their savings were safe. So on both sides of the balance sheet, the building societies have remained open. From our perspective, we've had two phenomenal trading years, and that's a reflection of the membership that we've served. We broke records last year, and we've broken records this year, on both sides of the balance sheet. So I think, in summary, the societies have been open for business and made sure that they were there for their membership throughout this period. I think also another aspect that has been really important, and I think will feature in our discussion, Anand, is the sort of move to accelerate the digital experience. We've had to do it. So moving to work from home happened for most organisations, happens over a very short period of time. My organization moved to working from home over a couple of days. It was pretty seamless. We had a few challenges early doors, but we were well on that sort of digital journey. I think for all organizations and banking and building societies in particular, the pandemic has accelerated the need to digitize for a whole raft of reasons. We don't have branches, so the way we engage with our members and our customers is via telephone and via our website. And we've needed to really look at that and move rapidly to make that a better experience. And internally also, we've had to strip our processes back, remove as much paper as possible, and still retain sort of safe and secure in the processes that we run. But we had to accelerate that. We've been talking about that for some time before the pandemic. Pandemic forced us to do it, and we did it. And there's more to do on that front. So I think there's staying open for the membership is a key thing, and the sector has done very well to do that and to serve the membership. I've said that a number of times. But we've also all had to accelerate the digitization of our businesses from a point of view of our internal organization, but also to improve the customer experience. And I think that journey has only just begun.
Well, thank you. I mean, first of all, congratulations for
Thank you.
multiple reasons, right? I mean, you've obviously served the members, which is probably the most important thing, and they've had a great experience with you through the pandemic, which is very key. And obviously now your balance sheet looks better, you have more members, your books look better. That's great. And the fact is, digitization has accelerated dramatically, right? I mean, it's just dramatic acceleration. And we all see that. And I think our industry in technology, we were people championing that beat for many, many years, right? So I think it's sort of now we see organizations and financial organizations across the board coming into play. Right? And that's actually it's very heartening to hear that you're well on your way towards digitization as well for the entire customer experience. Right? I mean, the technology is a facet, but the customer experience is probably the most important facet end to end itself. Now, with
Yeah,
that
I think,
said,
and
yeah,
oh, sorry, and I was just going to say, I think that's really got to drive the whole digitization process. The sort of customer journey has to be at the core of that, and I don't just see it as a completely sort of autonomous digital experience. I think there's definitely a story where the customer can interact with us whatever way they choose. So if they want to be working at home of an evening and just sort of working out a few things online, they can do that. If they then want to speak to somebody the next day or at that moment in time, I think that's going to be part of the story as well. That sort of seamless interaction. I think our expectations as consumers, whatever we're purchasing, whatever we're buying, are increasing year on year, and that's not going to slow down. So I think it's that sort of seamless experience that is going to be key, and at the backbone of that, I think, is a digital process that works for the organization, but most importantly, works for the customer to make it easier and
yeah,
shorter and more enjoyable, actually.
yeah, I think completely cool with that, right? So, what are the challenges that you see are now that you're facing and opportunities too, right? Now that you're coming out of the pandemic in many ways, the
Yes.
digitization cusp has started. You're on a very strong curve
Mhm.
there, and we'll talk about that. But what are the other macro trends and challenges that you see? Do you see the rise of the new neobanks, the Revoluts, Chase coming into the UK? Do you see any of those having any impact, or really it's just the customer is going to benefit because there's more choice?
I think the customer will benefit. It's a fiercely competitive market from a price point of view. So if you start there, it's there's definitely over time been a sort of race to the bottom in terms of the interest rates that's charged for mortgages, and to an extent linked to that is paid to savers. I don't see that abating. I think whether they're challenger banks or banks from other countries, organisations coming into the UK, that's going to continue. And I think this is why, for me, the digital experience is at the center of any business now wanting to transact and trade in our market. Got to get that right, and it's got to be an exemplary experience because that's going to be the norm. It has to be easy and done on the phone wherever you are, whenever you want to engage with your bank. And I come back to that point, and that the backbone of the digital experience has to seamlessly link between the customer doing it themselves, them being able to transact, the organization to be able to intervene if their customer wants them to, and then back into the sort of the customer doing it themselves, and not having what we want to get away from is having to rekey information and chase documents through the process. It should all happen in a straight through process in a way that really is a very different sort of experience. So I think that's the standard that is being set by the sort of new challenger organizations, and we as the sort of the incumbents have to rise to that challenge and bring to bear what is special about building societies. And I think that's the deep expertise that we have in dealing with people in a way that is thoughtful and founded in our sort of social purpose, but is relevant for them and actually works in a very straightforward way. I think that's the standard that any consumer is going to expect. I come back to my organization. Our target audience, as I've mentioned, are teachers. We generally look after newly qualified or first time buyer teachers who are looking to buy their first home. They're general, and teachers generally are under 40, and they They have small deposits if they're looking to buy, and they're looking to save on a regular basis, but not huge amounts. Um, but they're all digital natives. It's like most of us nowadays. If you've been
Yeah.
working from home and living at home because of the pandemic, the way we shop has really changed and accelerated. So I think an enhanced expectation of what it's going to be like to open and manage a savings account, whoever does it for you. But also, if you look at the mortgage process, it's complicated. It's a very emotional experience buying a house, but it's complicated and difficult. And our job, I think, in the banking and building society world, is to make that a whole lot easier and much more enjoyable, and put the customer very much more in control of what's happening than they feel now. And particularly for teachers, to be a good teacher, you've got to be in control of a classroom of 20, 30, 40 children. Now, if you can't control that group, you're not going to be a good teacher. You won't last. So teachers love being in control. And with financial services, we've done quite a bit of research that they don't feel in control and they don't like it. So our job is to help them to be back in control. Running through all that, it's a digital spine that works for them, but an interaction with an expert at my building society or another building society or a bank for that matter, who can really help them and guide them when they need it.
Thank you. I mean, that's actually very, very illuminating, right? And I really we take away three key takeaways, right? One is the uniqueness of your audience, teachers itself, right? Of how they want to be in control of their destiny and how teachers building society needs to provide it for them, right? That's very, very key. Um, and that actually leads me on to the first question. We'll come back to two follow-ups later. Is really when you look at your technology transformation, and thank you for partnering with Finastra, right? I would
Okay.
just like to get some color around your decision-making process, what made you choose Finastra, and how you see the partnership evolve.
Yes, it was. As you can probably imagine, Anand, we went through a very lengthy selection process where we looked at a whole range of organizations and carried out extensive due diligence, and we had external support to do that because we don't have the sort of expertise to do that on a regular basis. And we had some really strong criteria that we'd agreed as a business, and the board backed that, and we looked at the individual organizations from that perspective. There were a number of things that really resonated for us with regard to Finastra. Uh, as a building society which has a founding social purpose that is critical to us, we really wanted an organisation that was committed to a responsible business and has a social um, focus in everything that they do. And we found that story in Finastra in the way that you interact with the customers that you support throughout your sort of history, really. And that was important to us. There was sort of a meeting of minds there, that we have a purpose, and we're socially responsible in the way that we conduct our business. And I mean, clearly we wanted to see and believe in a modern technology stack that, because that's what we're buying at the end of the day, to enable us to deliver what we needed to actually deliver for our membership and prospective customers. And I think that came across very strongly from the team that we met, and the work we went through during due diligence and the discovery phase with you and your teams. And I think one of the key things that was a real decider for us was your openness and your ambition to integrate with other organizations in the technology sector. Because who knows where we're going to be in 5 years' time, and what fintech capabilities are going to be there. And what was really important for us as a board was to have a partner who would be up and willing to engage with other organizations as new capabilities came along. And that became very clear that was your ambition as an organization as well. You have sort of a deep strength in your organization in the technology sector. I mean, you work with 90 of the 100 top banks in the world, and that was very helpful in me being able to convince my board that you were a partner that we should work with. That breadth of expertise and the scope of your business and the resources that you could call on was important for us. And I think probably not last but not least, I should say, was your desire to work with an organisation on a partnership basis. And we're a small organisation compared to Finastra, but I was convinced from early on, as were my executive colleagues, that you were serious about a partnership relationships. As you learnt about our building society and what was different about us, you wanted to work with us with your technology solution, and that was really important. So I think there's some very significant factors that work for us, and when we got to the decision in the end, it was pretty straightforward.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the partnership. Right? I mean, indeed, we welcome the partnership because I think we would learn a lot from building societies, especially in building out a true omni-channel digital spine, right? That people can come in and have a financial transaction at any point. It could be on a device, it could be on the phone, it could be at a bank, it could be with an associate on a call, it can be through a chatbot, and that needs to be very seamless. And I think we would learn a lot. We got to simplify the whole mortgage process itself, right? And I think that's
Mm.
a huge thing that we can learn as well. So I think it's a two-way street of partnership. We would learn a lot
Yes, and
from you, right? And at the same time, you'll be able to deliver value to your business. I think that's the goal of our partnership. And frankly, today in fintechs, openness is key. You're right. I
yeah,
mean, you can shop,
absolutely.
you can bank through shopping, you can shop through banking. I mean, you can do whatever you want, right? You can, and that kind of combination that are coming up with open banking is something that we are very careful about, right? Our partner BEP in the origination side, right? We want to work with the
Yes.
best in class to give the best in class digital spine because we cannot do it all ourselves. I think that's a very
Yeah,
key thing that we want to thank you for the partnership.
no, I think that's key. It's key now, and the open banking thing is quite an interesting development and an opportunity. I think that's going to present real opportunities for organizations that have the technology to be able to to play in that space, and who knows what sort of capabilities that we will be able to offer it that we don't at the moment, in the next sort of five years. So we've got an eye to that. Clearly there are risks if you're not sort of really on top of the developments in that space that, for organizations, but we see that as opportunity for new products and services that we just currently can't offer at the moment. So that's part of the story. I think there's also another dimension to the sort of the Finastra story that is not necessarily technology in its purest form, but we want to be. We feel that we want to be a modern organization with a modern sort of technology setup and solution for our membership, but also for our colleagues at work. There's one of the challenges that is sort of front of mind for me and my organization at the moment is the sort of war for talent that's going on. I mean, you can see it on the news every day, the shortages in particular areas. Good people are hard to find and keep. And I think if we are perceived and actually are a modern organization that is doing some interesting things, despite our scale, because I think you don't have to be huge nowadays to invest in the latest technology. That's a key change, certainly in the last sort of 10, 15 years. For us, in terms of our proposition, our offering for colleagues and new colleagues, being a modern organization is where we have the ambition to be, and it is within our reach.
Yeah, I mean, that's extremely interesting, right? I mean, I just have, I think, one final thought, and probably something these two topics are kind of related, right? One is you have a younger demographic coming in, right, with the
Yes.
teachers who are, and now they're digital natives, right? So what makes them choose teachers over a neobank, right? Is it the social purpose? Is it the ESG? Is it the referenceability of the trust that you're built over decades in the sector, right? I mean, how do you see that play out over the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years?
It's a really good question, isn't it? I think the power of sort of social purpose has been elevated during the pandemic. We've all seen how important NHS workers are, teachers, shop workers, you name it. Those key occupations that really kept the country going. And I think there's a groundswell amongst people in this country and elsewhere, where they really want to be associated with and deal with organisations that actually are founded in something that feels right and is right. So I think that's a key differentiating factor that we feel for our organisation, and certainly the building society sector, which is founded in its sort of social purpose. As I mentioned earlier, we were set up in 1966 to help people. Um, Help teachers buy their own home, and with a particular focus on women teachers who, at that time, often had to have a guarantor to enable them to take a mortgage out, which is, I know it sounds crazy, but that's how it was. And we sort of broke the mold from that. We didn't. We'd looked at them as an individual and work it out from there. So an organisation that has that strong story, that is based in something that is real and tangible and feels right, I think that the sense of social purpose is very powerful and runs through all the building society sector. And as I mentioned earlier, that's why working with an organisation like yours, which has a strong sort of social focus and social purpose, mattered to us. The sector is really focused on the environmental component of that is facing all of us now. You know, we all sort of work in a community, and we're citizens of the country we're in and the world, really. And I joined Teachers Building Society 4 years ago and set up an environmental committee to look at our carbon footprint and what we could do to make improvements in that area. And we've done some good things, but we're on a journey like most organisations are, and there's a lot more to do there. We're looking to be innovative with products that help our new customers and existing customers to improve the carbon footprint of their properties and so forth. And we're looking at how we can improve as an organisation from the footprint of our business, and there's lots more to do there. So I think that sort of social is really important. And if you take organisations that are founded in doing something that is right and proper, like us helping teachers to own their own home, governance of that is part of what we do. We're trying to do the right things, and to pull this into sort of the present day. Anand, we had our board strategy session, which we do on an annual basis, recently, and pretty much half of that was looking at how, as an organisation, we are sort of doing what we should be doing around environmental, social, and governance issues, and what are the opportunities and threats of the future, and what we need to do about that. But I'm proud to be working for a building society and in the building society sector that has that strong sense of social purpose, and we're here to do the right thing for our members. And I think, back to your question, that really resonates with teachers,
Yeah.
because if you're a teacher, it's a vocation. It's not just a job. I couldn't do it. I think it takes somebody quite special to do what they do, and I know they work long hours and they're very dedicated, and we meet them on a regular basis, and there's some amazing people, and it's just a tremendous honor, in a sense, to help those people find and own their own home. So I really believe that this is a time for organisations that are founded in something that's right and proper, and customers will continue to buy into that.
Thank you, Simon. That was fantastic. Again, I look forward to the partnership with teachers. We want to make you successful. We want to make the teachers successful. We want to make their experience extremely pleasant, right? And we want to do it jointly with you. And thanks again for all your insights. I found it very valuable, and I'm sure all of us would find it very valuable. And I do agree with you. The social purpose, the ethos, that fabric is what is going to drive all organizations forward. And that's going to be a very sticky proposition, not technology. It's really that ethos, that building block itself. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, thank you, and good to talk.